Hey everyone, and welcome back to today's video. As you guys can see, our setting is a little bit different today, but we're going to go ahead and get started with how to start attracting engagement on your social media platforms. This is something that actually a lot of people have been requesting on my Instagram, on my Facebook, and a lot of my clients and even audience has been struggling with, especially on their social media. So if you have been struggling with getting engagement, like likes, comments, shares, or even getting people to reshare your content, then keep watching this video because this video is going to have some great tips for you. But don't forget to sign up for our email newsletter so you guys can stay more updated with just weekly educational tips, weekly business advice, and some freebies along the way. So without further ado, let's get into the video. So this has been something that a lot of people have been requesting for me. This is actually one of my most requested videos just because, it can be kind of difficult and challenging to run, social media as a business owner. And I always tell people, like, social media is a lot as a business owner. Some people think that usually you're just posting products, you're just posting photos, you're just promoting, but that's not usually all that you're doing on social media. And that's usually not going to help you grow or even attract clients. So it's really important that, we're using our social media platforms the correct way. And we're actually using tools and tactics that our audience can learn from, they can engage from, and then of course they can come back to our page because that is the goal, that we want. We want them to keep staying on our page. We want them to come back. So again, let's get into the video with a couple of tips to start doing now to really change up your social media engagement. And let me know if this works for you because, if you follow these steps, this should work for you within the next 24 hours. Again, it's not really about time. It's not really about how many followers you have. It's just making sure that we're posting the correct content and we're using the tools the correct way. So let's get into these tips. So the first step to naturally start attracting engagement on your social media platforms is by really paying attention to the content that you're posting. Your content is really going to be your number one, source, your number one idea to understand either what you're doing right or what you're doing wrong. So the number one way to actually start changing up your engagement is through your content. And let me give an example of this. So most of my clients that I start working with, their content usually is trying to sell something, trying to promote something, trying to sell their service, trying to promote their whatever their product is that they're trying to sell. Now, when you're doing that to your audience 24/7 and all the time, your audience is not going to want to buy from you and they're usually going to unfollow. So that's why I say promoting your content 24/7 sometimes is not the best way to do it if you're always promoting your content and not educating your audience. So let me explain that. When I started working with one of my clients that was actually having one of these issues with getting engagement on her social media, it wasn't what she was posting, it's how we're doing it. So what I mean by this, if you're promoting your stuff 24/7, obviously your audience is not going to purchase from you because they think that you're trying to pretty much shove something down their throat. Versus if you change up your content and start including some educational content, some behind the scenes, some reviews, this will actually build trust with your audience, and your audience will actually be more likely to trust you first. And once they trust you, then they're going to be more likely to want to buy from you. Again, one thing that I really try to focus on and tell everyone that starts working with me or just anybody that follows me is that we really have to focus on building our community first. And what I mean by that is giving them something first instead of asking. I actually saw this from another marketing specialist, and I cannot remember his name, but if I do, I'll actually include it here somewhere. But he was actually saying that we should be either delivering some piece of educational content, some piece of funny content, some piece of, behind the scenes. We should be delivering 80% of the time and promoting 20% of the time. So realistically, like I said, it's not a bad thing to not promote your brand all the time if you know how to do it. So, for example, if you have a candle business, instead of selling your candle every single day, maybe you could create a post that says, what are the benefits of your candle? Do people get more sleep? Do people get, just a higher, like a happier mood? What do they get out of that candle? Another example is if you're selling hoodies. You could post your content of your hoodie, but then the next day you could actually post a content piece. And what I mean by content, it just means a post on social media. So you could post a content of a review, you could post a content of a quote. And whenever you're posting quotes for your business, one thing that I always try to encourage is just make sure that it does align with your business. You don't want to be posting, quote on my favorite food is spaghetti when you're running a candle business or a clothing business. Make it something that is targeted towards your audience, targeted towards your brand's representation, towards your brand's goal. For example, mine is marketing, right? And I have a lot of business owners that follow me. I have a lot of creatives that follow me. So what I know that my audience needs from me is they need inspirational content. They need something that can give them inspiration that they can relate with. So I'm going to post a quote based on bosses, based on people that are entrepreneurs, based on, a quote that has to do with my brand aesthetic and direction. So that way it just all flows and makes sense into the content. Another example of that would be through an educational piece. And I actually want to point out educational content really quick. And let me know if you guys actually want a full in-depth video on how to make educational content. Because I really feel like this is actually one of the main areas where my audience struggles with is the educational content piece. Is that they're really good at making reviews, they're really good at making quotes, but they just don't know how to exactly educate their audience on their product or service. So let me know down below if you guys want that video. But I do want to focus on educational content for a quick second here. So educational content is actually not as hard as it seems. So let me break it down for you. I already talked a little bit about candles. I already talked a little bit about hoodies. But let's say that you are someone that helps with social media management, marketing, or even a business coach. The educational content that you should be posting should be realistically teaching your audience something based on a problem that they are struggling with. So, this is actually one of the next steps that we're going to be discussing, but I do want to quickly discuss it on how it can benefit you to make educational content pieces. So, what I mean by this is if you know exactly what your audience is struggling with, so if you're a coach, if you're a social media management manager, or even a marketing specialist, your audience is probably struggling with, learning how to use social media, how to use Instagram, how to use Facebook. Those are the things that you want to be posting educational content on, because if you do, they're going to be learning something from you. And every time that they learn something from you, they're going to trust you a little bit more. So that way, when you actually have a good offer or when you have a good product, they're going to be more likely to want to buy from you. So that's why I said once you actually start sitting down and planning this, it really is not as hard as it seems. So let me actually include a different category so that way you guys can get an idea. But let's say that you are someone that sells clothes, you're from a clothing boutique. What is your audience struggling with? Ask them through quizzes, ask them through polls, ask them through your stories, ask them through your content, but ask them what they are struggling with. So that way, whenever you make your content, it's going to be targeting specifically their problem. So, for example, if you're a clothing boutique and your audience is struggling with fashion tips or outfits of the day, you can incorporate that within your content and start making some reels or even some content pieces on how to style clothes, on some fashion tips. And again, your audience is going to start trusting you even more, that the next time when you drop something, they're going to be more inclined to want to buy from you. Reels are actually easier than they might seem to be or appear. I know my audience kind of told me that they were a little bit shy and scared to even try reels, and I understand why it can be scary because you've never done it, you've never been on camera, and it is a little bit, nerve-wracking to record videos. But one of the easiest ways that I actually figured out how to record reels is by saving the audios on Instagram that you personally like. Um, this can include music audios or even audios of other people that you like. And it can be like something that's already pre-recorded, if you guys understand what I mean. But you guys can save those and then, or even send the video to yourself or to somebody else. And that way, whenever you are ready to record your content, you can just use those audios and then record whatever content piece you're trying to record. Reels are actually a really great way to post educational content, post reviews, or even post funny, relatable videos. One of my favorite things to do with Reels is actually educate my audience. And that's actually really easy. And I'll show you guys like a video here somewhere so you guys can see. But as you guys can see through the video that I'm going to include in the video, um, I don't even need to be saying anything in the video. All you have to do is either just show your face or record like a little piece of your office or the city, and then just post some educational stuff on it. And then people will actually learn from that video. They will share it, and then hopefully it would actually reach new followers on Instagram or just even new people on social media platforms to follow you and gain new clients. So, your stories are actually another great way to start engaging with your audience. I know a lot of people are just usually not using their stories the correct way. And what I mean by that is that you're posting your content in your stories, but it's really not doing anything sitting there. Stories are really, really a good beneficial tool to get to know your audience even more when you actually take advantage of it the correct way. And take advantage of your stories by asking your audience questions in your field, or just asking them questions, how they feel, or asking them questions, just to check up on them and to show that you do care about their feelings and you do care for them. This will actually build more trust with your audience. And again, the more you build the trust with them, the more they're going to be more likely to come with you or even book you for a service or a product. An example of how you can ask your audience questions through your stories is by literally taking a picture of your office or anywhere and then just asking them, do you currently have this service? Are you currently struggling with this, and this? And then just list off 3 problems that you think that your audience is having, or 3 problems that you have researched that your audience is having. So you can ask them, or you can get an idea of what problem is their priority, so that way you can incorporate it into your content. And it's okay if you actually don't know at all, what your audience is struggling with, because it is actually a great way to get to know that. So let's just say that you just started your business and you have no idea who your audience is, you have no idea what their problem is. This is actually a great way to ask them, what are you interested in learning from this page? What are you looking for? You can ask them questions about what their age range is, what their interests are. And the more you get to know your audience and the more you get to know your client, the more you're going to be able to make products and services that can help them. Again, take advantage of your stories by asking them questions. And for example, if somebody answered one of your questions and they actually answered that they do need help, reach out to them. Like, send them a message, ask them if they're interested in a free call. That's going to be the best way to get direct communication with them one on one.